Two migrant workers, George and Lenny, were allowed off a bus miles away from the California farm wherein they may be due to start work. George is a small, darkish man with sharp, sturdy functions. Lenny, his companion, is his opposite, a large of a person with a shapeless face. Triumph over with thirst, the two stop in a clearing by a pool and determine to camp for the night. As the two converse, it becomes clear that Lenny has a moderate mental incapacity and is deeply dedicated to George and based upon him for safety and steering. George finds that Lenny, who loves petting smooth matters, however frequently by chance kills them, has been sporting and stroking a useless mouse. George angrily throws it away, fearing that Lenny may trap the disease from the dead animal. George complains loudly that his existence would be simpler while not having to care for Lenny. However, the reader senses that their friendship and devotion is mutual. He and Lenny proportion a dream of purchasing their very own piece of land, farming it, and, a lot to Lenny's pride, retaining rabbits. George ends the nighttime via treating Lenny to the story he frequently tells him approximately what life may be like in such an idyllic region. The next day, the men record to the close-by ranch. George, fearing how the boss will react to Lenny, insists that he'll do all the talking. He lies, explaining that they journeyed together because they're cousins and that a horse kicked Lenny within the head while he became a child. They may be employed. They meet Candy, an antique swamper or handyman with a lacking hand and an historic dog, and Curly, the boss's mean-spirited son. Curly is newly married, possessive of his flirtatious spouse, and complete of jealous suspicion. Once George and Lenny are by myself within the bunkhouse, Curly's spouse appears and flirts with them. Lenny thinks she is pretty, however George, sensing the problem that might come from tangling with this lady and her husband, warns Lenny to stay far away from her. Soon, the ranch palms go back from the fields for lunch, and George and Lenny meet Slim, the skilled mule driver who wields fantastic authority on the ranch. Slender remarks on the rarity of friendship like that among George and Lenny. Carlson, every other ranch hand, suggests that on account that Slim's canine has simply given beginning, they should offer a doggy to Candy and shoot Sweet's antique, suitable-for-nothing canine. Day after today, George confides in Slender that he and Lenny aren't cousins, however had been friends considering the fact that adolescence. He tells how Lenny has regularly gotten them into trouble. For example, they have been pressured to escape their ultimate activity because Lenny attempted to touch a lady's get-dressed and became accused of rape. Slim consents to gift Lenny certainly one of his puppies, and Carlson keeps to badger Candy to kill his vintage canine. When Nero is of the same opinion with Carlson, saying that death might be a welcome alleviation to the struggling animal, Candy offers in. Carlson, before leading the dog outside, guarantees to do the task painlessly. Slim goes to the barn to perform a little work, and Curly, who is maniacally trying to find his wife, heads to the barn to accost Slim. Candy overhears George and Lenny discussing their plans to shop for land and offers his lifestyle savings if they'll allow him to live there too. The three make a percent to permit no one else know of their plan. Slender returns to the bunkhouse, berating Curly for his suspicions. Curly, trying to find a clean goal for his anger, unearths Lenny and picks a combat with him. Lenny crushes Curly's hand inside the altercation. Slim warns Curly that if he attempts to get George and Lenny fired, he will be the laughing stock of the farm. The next nighttime, most of the men visit the neighborhood brothel. Lenny is left with Crooks, the lonely, black solid hand, and Sweet. Curly's spouse flirts with them, refusing to leave until the opposite men come domestic. She notices the cuts on Lenny's face and suspects that he, and not a piece of machinery as Curly claimed, is responsible for hurting her husband. This idea amuses her. The following day, Lenny accidentally kills his pup in the barn. Curly's wife enters and consoles him. She admits that lifestyles with Curly is a disappointment and needs that she had followed her dream of turning into a film big name. Lenny tells her that he loves petting soft things and he or she gives to allow him experience her hair. When he grabs too tightly, she cries out. In his attempt to silence her, he accidentally breaks her neck. Lenny flees lower back to a pool of the Salinas River that George had specified as of assembly region need to either of them get into problem. Because the guys returned at the ranch, discover what has befell and acquire together a lynch party, George joins Lenny. A good deal to Lenny's wonder, George is not mad at him for doing a terrible factor. George starts off evil to inform Lenny the story of the farm they will have collectively. As he describes the rabbits that Lenny will tend, the sound of the approaching lynch party grows louder. George shoots his friend in the return of the head. When the alternative men arrive, George allows them to believe that Lenny had the gun, and George wrestled it far from him and shot him. Handiest Nero knows what has absolutely befell, that George has killed his pal out of mercy. Nero consolingly leads him away, and the other guys, absolutely at a loss for words, watch them leave.